This is why trauma recovery isn't linear. Your plasma signature is being rebuilt, and it fluctuates based on who you're around. Other people's fields affect yours, obviously, and their fields, who they hang out with, affect yours as well. Environmental EMFs, the moon phases, gravitational and electromagnetic shifts, your water intake and the water quality, the nervous system state, how recent you've been in the extraction or parasitic dynamic. And some days you're back online with new, crystal clear. Other days the glitch pattern reasserts itself because the cellular memory is still there. You begin to repeat a pattern because it's ingrained in your system. Do you feel like there are specific practices or conditions that help you stabilize your connection to the divine goddess, especially when you're recovering from those extraction dynamics? I'm asking because for me, scrying and gazing are two practices that work really well. And so I'm going to break them down in this video. Scrying and gazing as plasma tuning. When you scry with water, mirrors, crystals, balls, fire, etc., just scrying is really just like staring without looking, if that makes sense. You're literally entering a trance state, and that shifts your brainwave frequency from beta to alpha to theta, which then changes your bioelectric signature. And because of that, you're softening your focus, which quiets the analytical left brain and lets the bright brain, the intuitive plasma connection, come online. You allow yourself to be connected to something bigger than you. Because you're utilizing a reflective and fluid medium, that acts as an interface between your consciousness and the cosmic plasma field. And the reflective surface isn't just symbolism here, it's creating an electromagnetic feedback loop. So you're gazing at something that reflects light or photons or electromagnetic radiation back at you, and your consciousness, which is also electromagnetic, starts resonating with it. And so you create a feedback loop, which then creates momentum, which then creates world building power. Water scrying especially makes sense because water is highly responsive to electromagnetic fields. It can hold and transmit information, it has memory, and you're literally looking at structured liquid while your structured liquid, your water body, attunes to Newt's frequency. It's like plasma calling to plasma through the water medium. It's like attuning yourself through the source. So the gazing practice becomes a reconnection to Nut, the cosmic goddess. When you gaze, whether you're scrying or just softly gazing at nature, the sky, or anything, you're bypassing the fragmented, scrambled thought and patterns of the narcissistic programming that have been installed. You're dropping into direct perception, which is how you naturally interface with reality before this interference, and you're letting plasma in your field stabilize and reorganize without that interference, which opens up the channel to receive rather than constantly being in the output role or in the caretaking role. This is essentially meditation, but specifically for plasma consciousness beings. You're not trying to empty your mind, you're tuning your antenna, you're utilizing your energy consciously and intentionally. Electrolytes reduced water is something that becomes a really vital physical foundation for this, because when you're drinking electrolytes reduced water, it's like giving the body the conductor material it needs to hold the frequency that you accessed during those higher states of consciousness, which can come about during scrying or gazing. And the electrons in electrolytes reduced water actually reduce oxidative stress, which is literally cellular electrical chaos. They improve cellular hydration with better conductivity, allowing you a more bioelectric field to work with. And they have the potential to restructure your body into more coherent systems through the water that's present in your body. It'll also give you your bioelectric field more charge to work with. more momentum, essentially. So the practice becomes scrying or gazing, connecting to that newt frequency, downloading information, and stabilizing a plasma signature. This is essentially what manifestation consciousness teaches. This becomes amplified when we drink electrolyzed reduced water because it gives our cells the charged water that they need to hold that frequency and integrate it into physical form. So it's bringing it from a consciousness idea down into the physical, which is working with the Merkaba too. You're essentially just doing energy work with this physical anchoring aspect, and that's why it makes it so effective in actually world creating and reality building. This also works really well for recovery when it comes to stepping outside of narcissistic or emotionally immature systems, because after narcissistic extraction, you need to reestablish your frequency, your unique energy signature. And so gazing and scrying kind of shows you what's yours versus what was implanted or what's been taken on or what's a projection. And this can allow you to physically rebuild your field. And electrolyzed reduced water provides you the stabilizing structure to anchor in to do that. You can also begin to practice receiving without giving. So allowing yourself to fully receive something. And these practices, when you're giving or you're receiving, both of these practices are both about receptivity, not about output. So you can even practice receiving as you're giving. And the scrying part really ties it all together, because narcissistic abuse trains you to doubt what you see, what you know, what you're intuitively feeling. And so scrying in itself is a practice of trusting your direct perception again. So it's rebuilding that self-trust, which is the foundational piece for actually creating change in your reality, for actually utilizing the momentum that you're building for yourself. So when you're seeing images, you're receiving information, and there's no external authority to tell you that you're wrong, you can actually begin to trust in those possibilities, trust in those potentials of reality without gaslighting yourself or making yourself feel like you're incapable of feeling or seeing or knowing the truth. It's truly reclaiming your sovereignty as a seer. And if you have access to electrolyzed reduced water, I want you to notice how your ability to scry or gaze, how that shifts. Maybe if the information comes clear after you've been drinking electrolyzed reduced water, or you could even just try going into an open field or a space where you haven't been impacted by that narcissistic or emotionally immature system, and see the difference between your experience scrying or gazing or tapping into your intuition in those places versus the places where you were belittled and made feel small. This can help you to create that trust as well. And notice, begin to play with the idea and ask the question of, does the quality of my body's water affect the quality or the clarity of my channel? And you'll intuitively be brought to answers. And when you're ready, we have the solutions here for you. You might also begin to notice if you can feel the difference in your field or energy when you're hydrated with structured water or electrolyzed reduced water versus regular water. So you can begin to notice the difference between what it's like to actually be plugged into the source versus being plugged into a distortion. I'll see you in the next video where we talk about how the plasma theory really gets wild.